And welcome to the India Today Business Today studios here at the World Economic Forum in Davos. You're watching our continuing coverage from here, and joining us is another corporate leader, Dipali Goenka, the CEO and Managing Director of Welspun Living. Dipali, welcome to our studio. We get you every year here, and therefore this year I'm going to start by asking you about what's your sense of the big vibe and the theme at this Davos. US President Donald Trump is expected to come, so we have a very big turnout this time here, comparing it to last year. What's the big vibe that you see that corporate leaders and business people are discussing here?
I think primarily it's going to be geopolitical issues in sync with the global supply chains, and agility, resilience, and AI. I think these are main flavors that you are seeing now because they're becoming very, very important to everything. I mean, when you even talk about artificial intelligence, you're talking about a very different sense of people losing jobs. But I see it as an opportunity to maneuver the disruptions in the global supply chains as well.
Since you spoke on that, the flavor of our conversations over the past couple of days has been AI is everywhere, it's in every corporation, it's top of mind for every CEO. For you, yourself, what has it meant in terms of productivity benefits, if you have realized any, across your entire businesses, and where do you see the future?
Let me tell you, when we talk about Welspun Living Limited, we work globally. Our landscape is completely global, where the consumers exist in not only in America, UK, Europe, the 27 countries, to Japan, to the other 60 countries that we are present in. The supply chains tend to get complex. It's very important to know what the consumer is going to buy, what is the algorithm looking like, how are you going to really trigger the supply chain demands, and how does the back end function? Because it all is a supply and demand, issue, and that's what we tend to, work towards. And I think that's where AI is helping me. The other important thing is we deploy around more than 20,000 people in our factories across. A simple example is we have a towel counting AI, ingrained in it. Wow. It used to cause human fatigue. We make 1 million units of towels. Now, can you sense that a human counting those towels? Imagine if AI tends to do that, your human fatigue goes down, your efficiencies go up, and your value loss goes down by 20%. So even in the times of the tough tariffs that we are seeing here, if AI gets ingrained into the system, you definitely will see a reduction of 20% of inventory that is there in the system. You'll at least see minimum 10% upside on your efficiencies and your productivity of your people, and overarchingly kind of a complete upside in the overarching turnaround and throughputs as well.
You mentioned the word loss, but does it also mean a job loss?
It's a kind of your productivity and your targets that you miss out. When your projections go wrong. You
make this a very, very important point, and I get that sense from others that if you, for example, look at the American economy, every economist said that the American economy would suffer on account of the high import duties that President Trump was imposing. Yet the American economy has been very resilient, and experts say it's on account of the AI boom. You spoke about how tariffs would have impacted and how AI is helping corporations like yours overcome it. But your sense of the impact that the sector that you represent has suffered on account of these high tariffs, and whether companies and business executives are finding alternative paths.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Today the world has taught you, and I clearly always say, and I quote, it's a Barney's world. Brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible.
Wow.
Where chaos is not just episodic, it's become constant. And I think this is where we are living in. The businesses and the supply chains are not linear, how you projected it to be and how you sense it to be and how the businesses were made to be like, right? But today, in fact, they are completely working globally, dynamic and agile. For us, if I look at my supply chain, because I can actually, because see, for us as Welspun, we know in-depth knowledge of textiles, the complete supply chains, innovations, technology, everything in the works. I can create my ancillary vendor partners across the globe. I can source out from anywhere. And with my supply chain agility that I have, with my technology and my ability to forecast and predict, and my partnerships with my retailers, I can supply from anywhere anywhere in the world. So I'm just saying that you are literally redefining the new world order of supply chain, new world order of doing businesses, a new world order of doing collaboration. It's a new world order, Siddharth, period.
Oh, wow. So, and this is perhaps here to stay. Tell me, how would your sector respond to and benefit from India-EU FTA? It's been in the work for quite some time, and we believe we are very close to the sort of formal signing of it.
So I'll tell you, it definitely is going to be a very important part of what we do. UK, Europe will be an integral part of that supply chain. And if EU gets together, it will be a very integral part of doing businesses, because right now with the 27 countries, the complexities also come along with it. But having said that, the opportunities are definitely there. Let me tell you, United States still remains the biggest consumer market.
Yes.
Let me be very, very clear on that. But UK, Europe, Japan is again a re-emerging economy that's coming around, which again is huge. Australia has another huge opportunity, and of course GCC. I think that's again a very big opportunity, as you say. India, I think, is going to be another one in the long run that we see in taking on a part of what we are doing. 10% is already coming in from India, and our brands will be something that we'll continue to grow here as well. India, Siddharth, is a very interesting market, and now, we see tourism growing. Interesting in India, religious tourism is growing at a rate of 20%. And that's where a lot of demands is coming in from hospitality sector. A lot of foreign chains of hospitality are coming into India. And
are going away from just the Delhi, Mumbai focus or the top 4 metro focus that they had.
Tier 2, Tier 3.
Yes.
Let's not forget that. Delhi, Bombay got saturated. I think it's where tourism exists, where people want to go. I mean, is where you'll see people traveling to from Kashmir to Kanyakumari.
That's a very, very interesting observation, religious tourism, and how that is having a downstream impact on certain businesses, including the businesses that the Welspun Group is in. Let's, for a brief moment, talk about the reform story.
Yeah.
2025. Several important reforms on taxation, on labor, and several others. I wonder if you have a comment about the changes to the labor code, and as and when they kick in, what will it mean for your company and for a very significant large workforce that you employ?
There would be some impact, but if you compare it to your skilling, upskilling and productivity of people, you can leverage that cost. And because, the idea here is when you have the blue collar associate, looking at growing them up into becoming supervisors, growing them to becoming multi-skilled in technology, in running smart factories is an opportunity, Siddharth. And we have to leverage those costs and the impacts that will be there. We are a growing economy. This will continue to exist. It's about us as organizations, how do we leverage that to what that needs to be done to our advantage.
What are you looking forward to in terms of any reform measures or policy announcements from the union government? We are a couple of weeks away from the budget, but not just the budget, broadly speaking for the whole year.
What I see today, and with the GST coming in and the whole kind of an opportunity in September that opened up for all of us in India, that anyway is going to bump up a lot of consumption, which was slow still till December, but it's starting to bump up. The income tax benefit that a certain level did, the government announced for, is again going to be an opportunity. So I actually, Siddharth, see in this market consumption kicking in. And definitely, you know, the Indian consumer is getting spending more in discretionary, living in more nuclear families, an opportunity to entertain. They're looking at a very different way of lifestyle, and which is very, very interesting. And I mean, looking at, we are a mix of now Gen Z, millennials, baby boomers. And oh my God, it's a huge opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think that is one of the most fundamental things that a lot of people, including not just Indian CEOs, but even overseas guests who have been here with us, tell us. As we wind down this conversation, I also want to speak about one of the issues that we've spoken about in the past, and this is women in business and their leadership. You know, sector upon sector, the representation of women in business is going up, both at the top leadership, including also across the workforce. I wonder if you have any thoughts to share with our viewers about what have you been doing in the recent past with regard to increasing the women in your workforce?
You know, with the population that we have, the 50% population needs to work, and that's where the true growth in this country will come. We talk about our literacy rates very low, and I always feel that if women get deployed and empowered is where you'll see our, India's growth story go to the next level in the terms of even education, literacy, and even per capita consumption. For us at Welspun, let me tell you, data has proven that the attrition rate in women is just 5% compared to men, which is around 20%. That becomes a huge opportunity, Siddharth. And you multi-skill them and skill them. They continue to grow and evolve. We today have around, in one of our factories, which is one of the biggest factories in Anjar, 39% women. And we are also looking at making women supervisors. That will actually get them up in the value chain as well. That is where we see a huge opportunity, Siddharth. And even in STEM, in the terms of supply chain, AI, analytics, we have women deeply embedded into the system as well. And I also want to just say, when you talk about diversity, diversity just doesn't mean women. In this country, you also have specially abled. You have, and we also getting them into our system. So it actually talks about diversity in a true sense, actually.
Absolutely. You know, one of the fascinating things is that when we talk about numbers in India, everything is at a scale that is unimaginable to many, many other countries. And so when Dipali speaks about diversity, those who are differently abled, specially abled, giving them opportunity is also very, very important. If companies don't do it, who would? Dipali, I wish you, as always, the very best in what you're doing, and thank you very much for your time with us here today. With that, it's a wrap on one more conversation here with a business leader from our studio at Davos. We'll continue to get you many more such voices as we continue our programming. Until then, goodbye.